Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Fishing Eagle, where today I'm going to teach you how to fish from start to fish. So I just brought in a bunch of tackle from out in the garage out here to the table. There's a bunch of it, so I can show you guys how to use it all. Alright, so first things first, we just went to Walmart, Bass Pro, Cabela's, wherever you go to buy your fishing tackle. Walmart is a place where you can find some pretty good deals on some medium quality stuff. I do not think Walmart sells St. Croix rods, which is what I use. This video is not just for somebody who's never fished before, but for somebody who has, or who maybe has been fishing their whole life, but just wants to make sure that they're doing everything right. So the first thing we've got to do is get everything we need in order to fish. So what we've got here is a reel. This is a spinning reel. There's no line on it. It's very simple, very basic. Some people are intimidated by spinning reels because all they've ever used is the push-button Zebcos. But I gotta tell you, the push-button reels are far more complicated and you have far more trouble with them. Don't even buy one. This reel is made by Lew's. This is a speed spin. It's the Hank Parker Signature Series, one of my old teachers back in the day. So here we have the spinning reel. Spinning reels are great because they're ambidextrous. Most all of them, you can switch the handle from the left side retrieve to the right side retrieve. And how you do that is you take your, but it also holds the handle on. Now Fluger reels, their handles, I think, are still made where they are threaded, where you tighten the handle itself. But most of the reels that I've bought, which by the way, I'm a big fan of Shimano reels, always have been. Now can reel with the right hand. I prefer to reel with my left hand on spinning reel. So I've got my St. Croix rod here. This is my Old Faithful. Oh man, I've had this rod for 19 years. I think we're going to, it's going to be 20 years here this summer. I bought this rod so long ago and it has caught so many fish. This rod has caught several flathead catfish over 30 pounds and it's a medium light. This is a 7-foot medium light fast action, 4 to 10 pound test line, 1/8 to 1/2 ounce jigs. So I'll let you see the label there a little closer. Now, if you notice on my rod, I have a mark here with nail polish, and I have another mark here and another mark here. This marks 15 inches from here to here. This marks 20, and that marks 25 inches. So I have it marked for, this is the legal walleye size in Ohio. And this is just I put a couple more marks on there so I could guesstimate how big the fish were that I was catching. Trooper's the world's first fish cleaning dog. Come here, Troop. Come and say hi, Hup. Hey, how's my good old boy? Yeah? Just making a video, teaching people how to fish. Yeah. So what we have here before us on the table is a little sample of everything that a person who's starting to fish or is going to go out fishing for the first time, things that I recommend that they have. Now, first and foremost, we have to go to the store or a garage sale, perhaps, or we already have some of this stuff laying around. But the first thing is first, let's go and get the rod and reel. Get yourself a good pair of polarized sunglasses and a hat. It's important to keep that sun off your eyes so you can see better. A stringer. This little stringer here, this is a nylon rope with a shuttle on the end and a loop at this end. Now sometimes these stringers come with a metal ring where how it works is you take your stringer, you open it up, make sure there ain't no knots in it, no knots in here, and let's say this is the fish's mouth right here, and there's his gills underneath there. You're going to go under the gills, come out the mouth, and then you're going to take this loop at this end, put the line through it, put the shuttle through it, I'm sorry. Pull it tight. And you see, it just cinches right on down. And you see, it's got your fish locked in there. Fish can't get away because it's got his whole lower jaw attached. Some people will poke holes through the fish's lips. Not a good idea. They rip off. Don't do that. You'll lose your fish and you'll have a fish swimming around with a lip hanging off its face. Terrible. This crimp sometimes will come undone. You'll lose your fish. What I do, I take a sharp knife, I take this stupid loop at this end, and I cut it off. And then I take my stringer and I do this. I just do one overhand knot, cinch it down, pull it super tight. All right, so we've got our rod and reel, we've got our hat, we've got our glasses, we got our stringer. It's a good old fanny pack. However, I don't like to wear it around my waist because sometimes I get into water that's quite deep, waist, chest sometimes. I wear it over my shoulder just like this. It doesn't get in my way. I can fish, I can reel, I can jerk, I can twitch, I can pop it, hop it, drop it. We've got our bag, our fanny pack.
Our fanny pack.
Then we've got to choose line. If you're going to be going after fish anywhere from, let's say, 1 to 10 pounds, you're going to want to use a line that can handle that fish. Now, some people have the ability, because of experience fishing, to use 6-pound test line and catch a 20-pound fish. How does that work? Your line is only 6-pound test, but yet you're pulling in a fish that weighs 20 pounds. How does that work? Well, how it works is the drag system. The drag system is this little knob on the reel. Remember, if you're looking at it, lefty is loosey, righty is tighty. Lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. Only when you're looking straight at it. If you got it like this, it's the other way around, okay? So righty, tighty means tighten the drag, where the drag is how easily the fish can pull the line off the reel. You can crank this drag all the way tight so you can hardly even turn that spool, which that's not something you'll ever want to do. So having a smooth drag is really important. So that's why I do not recommend you buy cheap reel. So far, let's recap. What do we have? We have our rod and our reel. We have our hat. We have our sunglasses. We have polarized sunglasses. We have our fanny pack. We have our stringer. We have our line. Now we have all this other stuff, the tackle, terminal tackle, which is sinkers, hooks, swivels, all the stuff that's not a lure. We also have pliers, very important. I'll tell you 2 reasons why. Number 1 reason is the life of the fish. If you're planning on releasing that fish, let's say it's undersized, let's say it's not the kind of fish you want to keep and eat, well, getting the hook out without ripping the fish's throat open or gills, which is how it breathes. The gills are like the fish's lungs. You have to get down inside their mouth sometimes, and needle nose pliers are the way to do that. The other reason that we recommend you have a pair of needle nose pliers is these things right here. When you buy these type of lures, we have treble hooks. Treble hooks, you can also call them trouble hooks. When you have a fish that has this stuck in its face and you grab that fish, and that fish all of a sudden, for no reason whatsoever, just decides to go blah and freak out, and you freak out and you let go of the fish, well, what happens sometimes is, yoink, that gets shoved right in your hand, your knuckle, your joint, your cheek. Sometimes people make mistakes and they go back to cast and they hit their friend behind them and hook them in the face. Had a few friends have that happen to them. So treble hooks, very important to have pliers to remove treble hooks from the fish's mouth instead of using your fingers, sticking your fingers in there, because when that fish shakes, you're almost guaranteed going to get it in you. So be careful. Use your needle nose pliers. Don't leave home without them. Keep them in your fanny pack. A box that fits in your fanny pack. So what we've got here are some hard baits. And what we've got here is just a few different things. I'll show you later. Hard baits we're going to cover right now. Hard baits are, this is a jerk bait, also known as a stick bait. This is a Rapala Husky Jerk. Big dog. This is what we use for big pike, big walleyes. This looks very similar, doesn't it? Yeah, just a lot smaller. This is not a Husky Jerk. This is a Countdown. Both made by Rapala. Both some of the most fish-catching lures ever invented on the planet. I highly recommend you get yourself a few of these to keep in your box. Next, we have the Senko. The old Senko. Rigged wacky style. Wacky style is when you hook it in the middle of the body, like this one right here. These are blade baits, okay? Now, if you look at this blade bait, there's all kinds of manufacturers of this. This is a very heavy lure, and it sinks like a rocket to the bottom. But when you lift it, when you give it a jerk, it vibrates super aggressively, just boom, and you feel it in your rod. It shakes the heck out of your rod. These lures catch everything. I'm telling you, everything will smack one of these. I've even had a carp hook in the mouth on one of these. I couldn't explain it. I don't know how or why he did it, but he did. Blade baits, awesome choice for fishing deeper water that doesn't have a lot of wood. Next, we have a crankbait, okay? This is a Berkeley flicker shad in the craw, the orange craw pattern. Deadly bait for walleyes in reservoirs in Ohio. This color pattern, for some reason, just smokes them. I love this. And you catch a lot of bass on them too. Then we have two other kinds of crankbaits. The first kind that I'll show you are, well, these are smaller crankbaits. This is a Bagley Little Big O. Okay, the Bagley Little Big O is a phenomenal river and creek smallmouth and largemouth and spotted bass lure. Next, we have the Rebel Craw. Okay, can't go wrong with a crawfish crankbait. This only dives 1 to 3 feet. Really good in super fast water. You can throw it out there, let the current take it down, and it'll be diving and wiggling as it swings down below you into the, if you can swing it right down to the hole. Pow! Big old smallies. Love them crawdads. Don't forget about the Bagley Little Big O, though. The Bagley Little Big O even has a crawfish pattern. This one is Fire Tiger, but they have better ones. Now, the other kind of crankbait is the lipless crankbait. Notice how all these crankbaits that I've shown you have this little lip. The bigger the lip, the more water it's going to catch, the deeper it's going to drive down. Now, these Rapala Rippin' Wraps, they have no lip except where they have you attach your line. There is this lip right here, which is the head of the bait, and that causes it to dive just like that. But this, can you hear that? It drives fish mad, insane. This is a Rapala Rippin' Wrap. This is also another lipless crankbait, but this is the KVD version. Strike King. Strike King makes a lipless crankbait. I like them a lot. I love them, actually, because they catch fish. We've got our split shots. These are sinkers. These make your lure sink, or your hook with a worm or whatever bait you have on there, sink in the water. The more you put on, the quicker it sinks. This is my favorite fluorocarbon in the world. This is Seagar. STS Trout and Steelhead. This stuff is so clear, you cannot see it when it enters the water, and neither can the fish. So you've got your line, and you just pinch it on. Get a good squeeze with the pliers, and it's on there. Not coming off, unless you squeeze this side, and then it opens the split shot back up, boom, and you've released your line. And you can take it off, put it back in your box. That's why removable split shot are so great. Here we have scissors. Okay, scissors. These are actually out of a medical kit. I love these scissors. Try to get these ones if you can. They are really good at cutting braided line and all monofilaments. Your needle nose pliers should have a section like these do right there that cut line, but I find oftentimes that these are no good at cutting braided line. So if you're going to graduate to using the braided line, which you will, and I recommend you do after you get the hang of it with the monofilament, then you should start carrying around a little pair of scissors or some nail clippers on a retractable leash. I use that a lot too. Now, this is a 1/4 ounce mushroom head. Okay, this is a jig head. This is the kind of jig head I like using in rivers when I'm throwing paddle tails. Okay, this paddle tail, this is called the Big Joshie. Okay, Big Joshie, baby. Love these baits. I've caught so many personal bests, so many eater walleyes, so many gigantic flathead catfish, all on the same bait. This one right here, chartreuse. What's this called? Ultimate chartreuse. And you see, they're not cheap, but you get like what, 6 in a pack, 1 jig head, and like 6 baits in a pack. Now this is a 3 1/4 inch. This is a 2 3/4 inch. So how we rig these up, I take your jig head, set the tip, the point of the hook right on the nose of the bait, and look where the eye of the hook touches the back. So that's where we're popping out. There we go. That's more like it. So you see how the lure, the soft plastic, is straight. It gets fish excited. This little tail, as you're reeling it through the water, hopping it, letting the current take it down, fantastic. If you decide you want to go after monsters like big old stripers or big old bass, you're going to have to get yourself some big old swim baits with some big old jig heads. Also, pike, muskies, walleyes, you name it, eat these swim baits. This is also a Big Joshie. This is their biggest one that they make as far as I know. They may have something bigger now, I don't know. But this is one of my go-to ways to catch jumbo walleyes, jumbo northern pike and muskie. And you'll see some of that happening in the videos to come. So we've got our monster. We're going to put him over there before he hurts somebody. These Big Joshies, I tell you, I can't say enough about them. Okay? The only problem is the jig heads that they give you with them are crap. Yeah, somebody worked hard to make them. I appreciate it, but I just paid you $7. I expect a better jig head. So what I do is I have a very good friend of mine who has jig molds and a lead melting pot and some time. He makes jig heads for us. And take a look at that. Yeah. That is a 3X strong hook, a keeper, and a 1/16 ounce chunk of lead that is molded onto that jig hook. That's what I'm talking about. This ain't going to bend out. Now, the downside to the hook not being able to bend out, let's say you get snagged on a rock with this jig head. This hook is just going to bend. It's going to open right up. Bad thing about that is, I'll get it off the snag real easy, but guess what? Anytime you hook into a fish bigger than 4 or 5 pounds, he's going to straighten that hook out too. So I always try to get better jigs. Get you some. And Big Joshy, put some better hooks on them jigs. Big Josh. Oh yeah, buddy. Hardly ever do I use live bait, I should say. I don't need to. Thanks to these folks right here at Berkeley making Gulp. They've got Gulp minnows. These things don't look like real minnows, but they're in the shape of a minnow. They stink like minnow poop. But fish absolutely love them, especially fish that feed heavily using their sense of smell in the water. Who knows the fish that uses its sense of smell the most? Catfish. These 3-inch minnows you can put on a jig head, like that one I showed you for the Big Joshie, the good one, the stronger one. Because what's going to eat these? Big catfish, big walleyes, big steelhead. I've caught almost every species of fish on these gulp minnows. Then we've got gulp minnows that are small. We use them for panfish and trout. Trout, panfish, love them little gulp minnows, which we did a couple videos ago, catching bluegills on bobbers. Check it out. It was awesome. Okay, so we've covered everything we got. Oh, almost forgot. Your fillet knife. This is a Buck knife, okay? Anybody know who makes the greatest knives in the world? It's Buck, all right? I love Buck knives. Always have, mainly because, again, my dad. Thanks, Dad. Oh, yeah. 10-pound Testrin original mono. Haven't used monofilament in probably 15 years, but I'm doing this for you. All right. So what you want to do is first make sure that all of your guides on your rod are in good shape. Okay, and what I mean by good shape is no cracks, no missing rings. If you look at the guide on the rod, you'll see there's a little ring inside the metal frame. That is called the insert, which this rod has ceramic inserts. The ceramic is smooth, and if you find one that's no longer smooth, it's got a crack in it, it's missing a chunk, you're going to have to get that rod repaired or return it because you can't fish with it. And the reason why is ceramic is very sharp when it fractures, when it loses a chunk. And fishing line is very thin. So sharp plus thin fishing line equals cut line. Sometimes it's like a little nick and it will just shred your line. So as you're reeling it in, it's shredding pieces of it off. And you'll see that happen too. But it looks like all the guides on this 20-year-old nearly St. Croix Triumph rod, oh, this rod has done me so much good. All the guides are still good. Now I have replaced I've replaced 2 of these guides already, and I've rewrapped the rod, taken all the guides off and redone all the thread and the flex coat on this once before, and I'm about to do it again because it's getting old. But this rod is just, they don't make them like they used to. However, St. Croix still does make them like they used to. The color patterns have changed. Quality has not. It's still phenomenal. I'm such a fan of St. Croix. Love what they do. So here we go. Let's get this rod set up with some line. Alrighty. This little sticker is going to be coming in handy when we're done filling our reel with line, because this isn't going to take all 330 yards. That reel only takes 110 yards of 10-pound monofilament. Okay? If you put too much on there, you're going to have problems. Don't do it. Now, how do I measure how many yards I put on the reel? I don't. I ballpark it. I eyeball it. And I'll show you how to eyeball it. All right? Pretty easy. So we start at the tip. Don't miss any guides. If you have bad vision, go and find a little youngster and have him do it for you. Now, how do you attach this to this? I mean, there's no hole. There's nothing to tie it to except for this spool here. Well, if you look at this spool, there's a black stripe going around it. Oh, but it's electrical tape. I put electrical tape on every one of the spools of my reels, and here's why. If you're going to use braided line, it's not sticky. It's not like a monofilament line is, which is like almost like plastic. The braided line is thread, and it doesn't stick very well to metal. So what happens is if you spool your whole reel with a $30 spool of braided line and you didn't put any tape underneath it or run some monofilament, a couple wraps of it underneath, that braided line is just going to slip on the spool. It won't hold tight. So you go to reel that fish in, nothing's going to happen. Your spool's going to spin, but your line ain't coming in. So with monofilament, to get it started, here is the knot that I use, and it's very, very simple. You take the end and you make a little looper. Check that out. Just bend it over itself. Give yourself about 8 inches. Then tie an overhand knot in it. One overhand knot. That's it. So simple. And then cinch it down like this. Look at that. See, we got this loop at the end. Now we got this tag. We're going to cut that tag off. All right. And look, our medical scissors coming in handy, coming in clutch. Coming in clutch. All right, now we've got this loop at the end, and you say, oh, that's not big enough to fit over there, you dummy. No. Just chill, bro. I gotta show you something. So once we put it through the loop, then we have ourselves a loop that when you pull this direction, ow, it cinches down, but when you pull this direction, it slips around. This direction cinches down, this direction goes around. So which direction is our spool, is our level wind going to be winding? Well, it's going to be going in this direction. So this direction is loose, so we have to flip it. So this direction tightens it down, open up the bail, put it around your spool, pull it tight, flip that bail, and with your right hand or your left hand, depending on which one you're going to be reeling with, pinch the line about a foot from the face of the reel. Then take your spool. So what I'm going to do is holding my hand a foot from the reel, allowing the line to come off nice and free with no snags, and trying not to hit my ceiling fan. I'm going to start spooling this reel to within 1/8 inch of the underside of this spool lip. And bam, there we go. That is right on perfect. Now you could put a little bit more on there, but we don't need to. This is plenty. There's about 110 yards of line on that spool. Now that we have line on our rod and reel, how are we going to put these lures on? Well, in every one of my videos, you'll see me tying knots. I will tie different knots all the time because we have different knots for different problems. So, I'm going to teach you how to set your rod up with a slip bobber and a jig head with a gulp minnow on it. Because what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to go down to the river in some muddy water, floating these gulp minnows under this here bobber with this here St. Croix and this here 10-pound test strand. Smart Stop bobber stoppers. Love them. We have our main line here, our line running to our rod and reel. We want to put a bobber stopper on because we are going to be fishing in about 2 feet of water, so we don't want it to slip below 2 feet. But then we have another spot we go to where the water is 4 feet deep, and we want to be fishing right close to the bottom. So we're going to slide our bobber stopper up so that we can fish 4 feet under the bobber. So let me show you how this Smart Stop bobber stopper works. Got her all the way in there. Gonna give her a good squeeze until she closes. Bam. There she is. Bobber stopper. Ooh, it's tight on there. So let's put the second bobber stop underneath the bobber in an attempt to keep it from sliding around. Only do this if you're fishing in shallow water. If you do this trying to fish it in deep water, it's just not going to work. Okay, bobber stoppers engaged. So there it is. Bottom bobber stopper, topper bobber stopper. We got 2 bobber stoppers on that slip bobber. Now, let's say, oh shoot, it's way deeper than I thought. No big deal. See, so simple. Now we're going to attach our jig head. Yes, I said jig head. And yes, we're using a jig. We're using jigs to catch catfish. Has anybody else here used jigs and soft plastics to catch catfish? If so, you're in the 0.000001%. Yeah, you're special. Wait a minute, that means I'm special. Thanks again, Steve. But we're going to do the trilene knot today. Let's take our jig head and our line. We're going to put it through once, pull off about 8 inches, go back around, pull it through a second time. But don't cinch the loop all the way close because you're going to need that loop. So keep it open and pinch it, just like this. Now we take our line and we twist it around the main line 7 times. 7. Now you have 2 loops. You have this big loop and then you have the loop that you pinched to keep open. You're going to go through it. You're going to wet everything down with your tongue because it's convenient. And now you have the knot lubricated so that it can slip without heating. Lubricating knots is not always necessary, but in this instance, because we have a double loop at the bottom, the improvement to the clinch, we do have to try to lubricate that slightly. So sometimes you have to help it along with your fingernail like I'm doing here. See me just giving it a little help. And that's to eliminate the heat. Now you can see it did heat up a little bit, but not bad. Now, oh, she's good and strong. I think I put 12 pounds of pressure there and it didn't break. Yeah. Trilene, 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 trilene. Remember how we fed the jig hook through the body of the Big Joshie? The paddle tails, the swim baits. Well, we do the same thing with these. So we're going to put those on the hook when we're out fishing. Oh, you hear that? Oh. 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 That's the sound I like right there. Oh. Uh-oh. So if you look, I've seen people have their rods stored with such tension on the line that you can play it like a musical instrument. I don't recommend that because you're putting stress on these graphite fibers. They don't stay good forever. They don't stay strong forever under pressure. So if you do this to your rod, you're really shortening the lifespan of it. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend having just enough to keep your hook from falling off. That's it. It doesn't, and your bobber, if you got a bobber on there, you don't want it to be swinging around flopping too much because then it can get twisted and tangled. So let's just give it just enough right there. That's perfect. See, it doesn't hang too low. The hook's not going to fall off, and our tip is not bent at all.
Dust devils dance on the cracked red earth. Sun beats down with a fiery worth. Been walking this line since the day of my birth, searching for something more than just dirt. Oh, the mountains call my name.